Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I am here with Nicole, who is a top 10 finalist in our Data Connect Conference data visualization competition this year. If this is your first time tuning in for one of these conversations, I'll provide a little bit of context around the conference coming up in July, also our data viz competition, and then I'll turn it over to Nicole to chat a little bit about her data viz. So the annual Data Connect conference is here in Columbus, Ohio. This year's event is July 11th and 12th. Within that event, obviously lots of great presentations, lots of networking opportunities, but we also host a data viz competition every year, sponsored by Apexon. And really what happens with that is we open the application up, we get hundreds of these applications in. With the help of the team at Apexon, somehow we narrow it down to 10. Lots of incredible things come through, so it is very difficult to do so, but somehow we make it happen. And we are here over the last couple of weeks and over the next couple of weeks chatting with our top 10 finalists. With that, each of these finalists will have an opportunity to live stream with us, share a little bit about themselves, their data visualization, our live vote, which is available on the website, and we'll walk through how you can access that and navigate each one of these vizzes. Is open until April 26th. And then on April 29th, we will announce the top 5 who will have an opportunity to join us in Columbus for the event on July 11th and 12th. We set up a really cool data viz gallery, like an art gallery kind of style concept. We do a little presentation video on day 1 highlighting the visualizations, and then we actually have an awards ceremony on day 2. So it is quite the event, but we are really excited to be partnering with Apexon on it again this year. And yeah, I'm excited to introduce everyone to Nicole, who is in our top 10 this year. So Nicole, if you don't mind diving in, sharing a little bit about yourself and your viz, that would be lovely.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me to speak. So as Kelsey mentioned, I'm Nicole Klassen. I'm a data viz developer at Apt Global. And I absolutely love the data viz competition. I've been following it for years and highly encourage everyone to submit a viz because it really is an awesome opportunity. So this year I submitted on my viz Ascent, the Rise of Women in Rock Climbing. The inspiration for this viz really came from me when I started in rock climbing. So when my son was born almost 6 years ago, I wanted something that could be my own, that wasn't like mom and employee and wife. And with a newborn, that's really hard. But at that point, I worked in higher education, University of Cincinnati. And they had a rock climbing wall that I could go to on my lunch hour. So that was something that I could fit in. And one of the reasons that I really stuck with it was because I would see at the gym a lot of women climbers. And that's just not something you would see a lot at gyms. Like I would go to the gym before climbing. It's like you see all the guys and all the weights, and it can be kind of intimidating. But there was a lot of women there. And that is what really sprung this idea of like, oh, why are there more women in this? Is there something about the sport that is gearing it towards women? So this was done for Iron Viz, which is a tableau competition, and it was on sports and games. I was like, all right, I'm going to dive into the sport of rock climbing and see what's going on. So I went through, these are pictures of myself and then my son down a little bit farther. But I wanted to go through and really see, rock climbing in general has been growing worldwide, but also this particular one is in the States, and especially with women. So going through, I was able to find, that 42% of indoor climbers are women, which is, again, really high for when you think about gym memberships, especially in a sport like this. So as I was building the viz, I was building it with my questions in mind. So I was like, okay, first, what's my question? What drives people to participate? Throughout the viz, I use a lot of these, they're called unit charts. So a dot per person. And the reason I did that is because I really wanted to highlight that there isn't a big gap between men and women climbers as much as in other sports. And we can put numbers out there all the time, 1 in 6, 1 in 7, but I feel like when you can really see like that gap and you can see those dots, it makes a little bit more of an impact. So we're seeing that, there's a lot of women in indoor climbing, but there is still a gap going on. So there are only 6 women in the top 125. So again, I'm like, okay, what's my next question? How does that compare to other sports? And that's where, again, I did that unit chart where, there's 6, only 6 in the top 25. There's like 8 or 9 men who climb harder than women. But when you think about the fastest man and the fastest woman in the 400-meter dash, there's 4,000 dots in between. So again, that's a real focus on this was there isn't a huge gap in why and how can we visually see these gap and how can we start to close it. So I had a lot of fun with the viz, like really going off of rock climbing themes. So looking at when people climbed the hardest grades, I wanted it kind of on an incline, just like you were climbing. The timeline is using holds and kind of your own little rock climbing route. So, just really driving off of that. My next question after like, okay, this is what's happening, at the top levels. This is what's happening at the gym. What's happening on the competition, especially since rock climbing competitions are becoming more and more prevalent. They're now in the Olympics. And actually someone from my son's team is going to the Olympics this year, which is really cool. And so it's like, okay, we've seen what's going on recreationally. We've seen what's going on at the top. How about in competitions? And just showing that, honestly, in competitions, women are performing the same, if not a little bit better, in 2 of the 3 areas. So we've got bouldering. And so this is a boulder wall, lead climbing, and then this is my son. He started climbing when he was 2. So and speed runs. And so speed is really the only one where men are outperforming women, and it makes sense because it's much less about, speed is much more about just pure power and that kind of that versus the rest of climbing, which is much more about kind of this body weight to strength ratio. So I love to see that like it really is a sport that women can get into and succeed at very regularly. But I was like, okay, how can we get more women into rock climbing and how can we get people to know about this? So I wanted to go through and see, and it's like, oh, well, there's still some discrepancies, and especially in route setting, which are the people who place the holds on the wall. In competitions, they are mostly men. And so that gets into some challenges that women will have if men are creating routes that are for taller individuals because they tend to be taller, things like that, or routes that do require more of that power versus body strength ratio. It's like, okay, we've got some work we can do, but it's not anything that can't be overcome. And, one of the best ways to start getting some people into it is starting at a younger age and increasing it, which is what we see happening. There is a gap between boys and girls, but in general, at least more youth are getting into it, and then we can work on closing that gap. With not a lot, pretty much all my visits, I always want to end with like a takeaway. So it's like, all right, hopefully I really got you into rock climbing. Hopefully you're really interested and you want to learn more. So here are some ways that you can start going. And then all my sources.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit more insight into this. Do you prefer top roping or do you prefer bouldering, or do you have a preference between the 2?
I prefer top roping, but finding a partner has been a little hard. So I've gotten much better at bouldering than I did at the start.
Yeah. Once your son's a little older, he can learn. It'll be great.
He will start belaying next month.
That's awesome. That's so fun.
Yeah, he's only 6, so he won't be belaying me. But
awesome. Well, I really appreciate the opportunity to kind of hear a little bit more about your visualization and kind of dive into all the different things that you've included in this. I love the actionable kind of takeaways at the end too. I feel like particularly our audience is always really excited about learning how they can get a little bit more involved in some of these things. So I appreciate you sharing those resources as well. Before we go, I am excited to kind of showcase to everyone where they can find these visualizations, where they can interact a little more strategically, and then vote for their favorite. So if you go to the Data Connect conference website, dataconnectconf.com, In the top right corner here, you'll find this Data Connect conference dropdown, Data Viz competition. You can scroll down and click through each one of these. With these, you'll see just kind of a cover representation here. You can learn a little bit more about the visualization medium that was used. And then if you're interested in actually taking some time out to explore the viz, dive a little deeper into the content, if you click view entry, that'll take you to the website where you can actually go and interact with that visualization. Would highly recommend flipping through all 10 of these. They are all incredible. So would certainly recommend navigating each one of them before you cast your vote. And then once you're ready, you can click into this cast your vote and vote for your favorite. And like I mentioned, the voting will be open until April 26th. We will announce our top 5 on Monday, April 29th. And then those top 5 folks will have an opportunity to actually join us in person at the event if they're able, and be able to participate in kind of all the different things that I described at the beginning of our session today. So thank you so much, Nicole, for sharing a little bit more about your visualization with us. If folks are interested in connecting with you, learning a little bit more about you and your process, and checking out any other visualizations you've put together, where can they find you?
Few places. So LinkedIn and X, formerly Twitter, are the 2 best places. And then to view kind of other visits I've done, when you click into the entry for this one, you'll have access to my Tableau public profile, and that has my portfolio of other things as well.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thanks again, Nicole. Enjoy the rest of your day and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you so much.